We live.
All right, there we go. Okay, so Dylan, what episode are we at? 36?
36.
Yep, it is episode 36 of the Yank and Kiwi podcast, but of course we are minus the Kiwi, so it's three Yankees, three Yankees, a Brit, and a Rusky.
Yay!
So I'm your host, Brett, the handsome and charismatic one, and filling in for the Kiwi is my fellow Yankee, Dylan.
I am evidence that Yanks are diametrically better than all Kiwis. Fight me if you think otherwise.
Also, he's my
win.
Also fellow West Coaster.
Yes. I'd say fight me, but I'll win. After all, I'm diametrically better.
Oh, I just realized, model. I didn't send you the official artwork we had for Maeve by Ginger and Victor. I should.
I know. Everybody forgets to send me their artwork.
I'll DM it to you on Twitter right now. Okay, but yeah. Dylan is my fellow West Coaster. He's in the state below me. Has a city that everyone thinks exists but doesn't.
Yeah. Wait. No. I know every city on the Oregon map. Okay. I know every city that exists. What are you talking about?
I don't know. Supposedly the one that Springfield and The Simpsons is based off of.
Okay. No. Yeah, that's fake. After all, it's a cartoon. They can make up any city name they want.
Yeah. And by the way, The Simpsons is the best Oregon cartoon.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, the first 8 seasons are.
Is there much competition?
Well, below that is Angry Beavers.
Oh.
Yeah. And then there was a show that my dad likes a lot that uses a fake name, like calls itself after like the fake city from Simpsons. It's called Portlandia.
And then there was also Gravity Falls.
And Gravity Falls, yeah. All of those are good shows and are all Oregon based. Again, 2 out of those 4 though use fake names for cities because they can't be original and think of good names, or just base them in actual towns.
Portlandia wasn't a cartoon, though, was it?
Yeah, it was a sitcom, wasn't it?
Yeah, we said Oregon shows.
Oh,
I thought I was talking cartoons, but yeah, I guess that counts. Seattle, we just have, I think, Frasier.
What's it? It's been a while since I've watched Seinfeld. I just remembered Seinfeld exists.
Seinfeld is in New York.
Yeah, I know. It's not connected to you, but I'm just saying, I just remember that exists and it's a good
show. Our show's, well, if I remember correctly, iCarly was also in Seattle, but let's not talk about iCarly.
Go on.
No, let's. I've heard some of the internet freaking theories on iCarly.
Oh God, I don't want to discuss them. Okay, but yeah, also in the call is, of course, everyone knows my color's ginger.
Yay! Hello.
and of course, her boyfriend Zeno.
Hello.
And guy making the 3D model that will hopefully in the future will be the template for a Maeve figure, Model 316.
Hey, how are you doing?
All right, so yeah, let's just actually get that out of the way. So, model, I know you've talked about on other streams that this thing can be 3D printed. Because I think I might not remember this less detailed. Do you have the ability to do the 3D printing yourself, or would I have to go, say, through a third party for that?
Well, currently I have someone that I usually shop out all my 3D printing for. And that was when I ran the Indiegogo, that was the goal. Of course, the Indiegogo failed miserably, so we didn't meet that goal. But as far as what I currently do, it really didn't change anything for me. I'm just still going to shop out what I need printed, and I'm going to take a different approach to doing this. I'm not going to focus as much on the comics properties and just kind of do an overall campaign.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed out that your Indiegogo did not make it. I mean, like, you'd think that, I mean, because like you were doing stuff for like some of the big names in the comics get crowd. Like you had models for Cyberfrog, Brutus. Correct me if I'm wrong. Jawbreakers too.
Graveyard Shift, Bigfoot Bill, Lone Star. Unfortunately, we just didn't get any support. So, and that's there's not much I can guess about it. I expected it to do a lot better, and even you set a realistic goal for something, and it even fell way below that. So, I'm just going to kind of reconfigure what I'm doing. There's plenty of things that I can be working on. And so,
you would think that all those guys would have jumped on the chance to have be able to make like toys or statues, like, other merchandise besides like T-shirts and shit for their books.
Well, and a lot of them wanted it, and I spoke with a lot of different artists, and we talked about doing figures, and when it just came down for the campaign, it just got very little interest from anybody. So we'll do something else, and I have other industries that I work with, and
I'm sure
the 3D modeling is a very small part of what I do, and most of the work I do is traditional sculpting and prototyping and model making. So I've already got the shop with the CNC equipment, and I have access to very high quality printing. So that's not an issue. What I wanted to do was bring that printing in house and cut that cost way down.
Yeah.
Of course, the initial startup for the printing equipment is very expensive, because these aren't the cheap filament printers. These were high end printers we were going after. But when I farm something out for printing, I'm sure I'm paying at least 4 times, maybe more, of what it would actually cost. You're paying for someone else's time, their equipment, their materials, their overhead, electricity and heat.
So I mean, okay, so I guess in-house, how much would it cost versus having to go through third party?
Well, I figure it's at least 4 times more to have to farm it out.
Ballpark.
Well, if you can easily consider $75 to $100 an inch. So, and that's shopping it out. That's paying the regular, pretty much a market fee for. And it depends on the size of the model. If it's a little tiny figurine, it's going to be a lot less. But if you're printing something like say in an 8 to 10 or 12-inch statue range, obviously that changes the amount of material and the printing time and all that. So that's when your cost goes way up.
Okay, so just as a comparison, I've got on my desk Star-Lord Legends figure that I bought at Walmart. This thing has got to be it's about the height from my thumb to my finger, which I think that's got to be 8 inches.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I probably know the figure line you're talking about. And are they about $20?
Yeah, I paid about $20 for it.
Yeah, so something like that, you're probably going to pay $300 or more to print. Whereas, if I was doing it in-house, I'd just be paying for the materials and the electricity, basically. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to offer the 3D modeling services for free to creators. And that was the whole kind of the hook of the plan was that I wouldn't charge anybody to do the 3D modeling and set up the prototype. And then if we wanted to do production or something like that later, that's what we would discuss and figure out how much it would cost to reproduce each individual figure. And I still think it was a pretty solid plan. It just did not get the heat that some of the other projects are getting. So
I wouldn't rule out the timing too, because like when did you open this Indiegogo again?
Let's see, Halloween.
Yeah, because by that time, by that time, people are pouring most of their money into stuff for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and that's assuming they haven't already spent a ton of cash on Halloween already.
Yeah.
Well, and there's also the factor of all the projects that went down this summer. So you're always going to have that, and then coming up in January, there's a few that are going to drop, and then February and March there'll probably be a dozen big ones.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's kind of why I sort of made the decision to step away from the Indiegogo model and go to Patreon, just because, at least for my purposes, long term it's more sustainable.
Well, I'm almost thinking about maybe doing a Patreon model as well, because I can interface easily that way if I wanted to do. I was even thinking for like the month of December to do like a deal of like $1,500. I'll do your prototype for a figurine, a statuette, or like a sideshow type collectible. We'll get the prototype done, and then run that as a special for December, and maybe take on like 2 commissions. So, and then, or the Patreon model allows you, to say, okay, we'll go to my Patreon and pledge $100 a month and just pay it for it that way. So there's options with it too.
So it's just this idea is not exactly dead in the water, just probably gonna have to change tactics then.
Oh no, because I've been doing this for 25 years. I'm still gonna be, I have clients and I have work, and I'll be taking on new work. The angle that I had tried to pursue, of course, didn't pan out, but I work every day on something. So
that's good. Well, that's good. I mean, like Dylan, Briz, would you guys have been open to like saying like, because here's an idea I had, like, assuming that models thing had gone through, I was almost thinking about, this is like assuming not just assuming that this thing went through, but also that the profile of the book had grown large enough that this could be doable. I was almost thinking like offering up, like doing a special that offered like about like say a dozen figures for like people who, like a one-time offer. You put down like say, I don't know, $30-$40. I mean, would you guys have been down with that?
I mean, that seems 12 figures. That's a redonkulous deal.
Yeah.
Well, and I had thought, for as far as for creators, to put them in your Indiegogo tiers.
Well, I wouldn't put them in my Indie. Like I said, I'm not really using Indiegogo right now. It's just more. But I mean, like I would have done like a one-time deal, like over Patreon. Like say, like okay, like it's a special event. Like put like set like PayPal me $30-$40, and I will set, and you get an exclusive May figure.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's multiple ways to approach it.
Yeah.
And
so,
I mean,
where it stands now, it's not like nothing has really come to a halt. It's just that I do not have that feature in the house to be able to do that cheap. So that's the unfortunate, aspect of it. If someone does want me to do something for them, they're going to have to pay for the printing costs. But I do have some thoughts as to what I want to do again. I was initially going to start a new Indiegogo right after this one, but I've decided to wait on that because I don't think it's going to get any more support than the first one. So what's the point?
Well, especially not right now.
Right, not before Christmas. So
Yeah.
Somewhere within the new year probably would be much more realistic.
Yeah, and really, there's no good time coming up at all. There's going to be going right into summer. There's going to be dozens of projects that go up.
You're right.
So there is no good time. There's no better time.
Yeah, you just kind of have to. Yeah, I mean, like, because like it seems like the whole thing with all these crowdfunded indie comics, like you really gotta be prepared to be a gambler.
Well, that and the one thing that I think is in everybody's mind right now, as far as like a second phase of doing this, is that the book costs are high and people are tapped out. You know, some people have hundreds and hundreds. I have hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and I've got one book here that's, you know, I have Iron Sights. So even going into the new year, I'm hesitant to pledge on anymore. So I absolutely understand where everybody is. You know, here's another Indiegogo for some figures that don't even exist yet. And it's, you know, everybody's tapped out. And you're right, going into Christmas, going into New Year. So I think on everyone's mind is going to be how to get systems into place for delivery for books where people aren't, you know, you have a $25 tier for a book, and you know right on top of that's going to be another 10, so it's a $35.
Oh God, and that's not even getting in. That's assuming you're just shipping within the U.S.
Right,
Getting into international.
Absolutely. So I think the supply chain is going to be the next thing that everyone looks into. And if I weren't into the art aspect of it, I had a good mind.
Rez, can you stop? If you're going to do that, can you mute your mic, please? It's distracting.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, you were saying?
If I had a better mind for numbers and organization, I would be looking at renting a space somewhere in the middle of the country and making deals with all of these comic book artists to have your printer ship it directly to me. You know, set up accounts with shipping and even, you know, bulk rates with the post office, and somebody will do that. That's a good enterprise for someone that has a good mind to do all of that. Somewhere in a good location, near a good international airport need be, and like, you know, a good postal hub, and start up a new distribution, because then that person can work and kind of fulfill like a new diamond where they go directly and start interfacing with comic book stores and making deals to get stuff sent in.
And here's where it gets awkward, because I know of only one such person who managed to do that, but the problem is no one in comics wants to work with this individual.
Well, and that's, you know, that's unfortunate. Right now there's just there's a lot of kind of back and forth and pettiness going on that wasn't really happening 6 months ago, and it would be nice if some of that can taper off, but it won't likely. You have a lot of strong personalities involved, and so the chances of that happening are probably slim. But, you know, like someone like Edwin would be perfect if he wasn't in Honolulu. You know, he has a good temperament to kind of work with everybody.
I suppose, but the individual I'm referring to, though, is a person named Vox Day, who is supposedly a white nationalist, and although surprisingly, John De La Rose is friends with him and speaks highly of him, so I'm not sure how true that is.
Yeah, he's just a polarizing figure right now, and, you know, some of it's deserved and some of it's not deserved. So, you know, what are you going to do? You know, when I see all the arguing going back and forth, there's some aspect of that where there are people who just enjoy that as a sport. So you're never going to change their mind because the argument is the sport.
Dude, I thought internet blood. That's what we had internet blood sports for.
Yeah, but it's what the net has devolved into, and you know, unfortunately, my personal opinion, I don't think enough people are looking at it as whether or not it's even worth their time to be doing all this. I don't engage in any of that on Twitter, any of the back and forth. I don't have any beefs with anybody, and it's just because I'm so busy. I don't have the time to do that. There's nothing in it for me. Even, you know, if you think of some position that you want to argue for, is there anything to win? And in most cases, there's not anything other than get someone to agree with you. And that's not a prize. To me, that's worth the effort to put the energy and time.
I don't disagree with you at all, dude. I mean, I kind of do my best to sort of stay clear of the drama, although sometimes you can find yourself inadvertently pulled into it. But
when I was, I'm in my 40s now. When I was younger, I enjoyed that. I've been on the internet all of my adult life, and in fact, the late 80s on black screens with green letters was really
war games.
Yeah, so I mean, all of my late teen and adult life, I've been on the internet, and I've seen it. I would say right now, culturally, we're in kind of a rotten place as far as how we treat each other, how we interact with people.
Yeah.
And I've heard other people say it before too. The way people interact with each other in person is completely different than the way people interact with each other on the web. And in most cases, people don't treat each other that way face to face. And that's kind of what we've lost with the convenience of chat rooms and DMs and instant messages and emails, and then also the consequence-free nature of some of the anonymity. And so I don't know, I think we'll probably see a lot of things change. I would say even in the very short term here in the next few years, I think you're going to start seeing a lot of things change as far as there are already states that are putting doxing laws in place, and some states already have very strict, like I know Arizona has incredibly tough cyber harassment.
Oh yeah, I can remember a Razorfist video where he talked about how the law hasn't caught up to the internet, and of course the problem with that is that then law sort of has a sort of a tendency to overcorrect problems.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Does. Can I bring up what Tumblr did today?
You mean ban porn?
Yeah, they straight up banned all porn.
It was kind of funny.
All of it.
So Tumblr just doesn't want to exist.
What are you going to use it for now?
Well, there's these things called porn sites.
Okay, but most of their user base was there for porn artists.
Again,
now they're gone.
I can point you to two. Hentai Foundry and Newgrounds.
Both
DeviantArt is already in that range.
But what I'm bringing up is the higher-ups at Tumblr and Yahoo, I don't think they realized what they were doing, and it's going to bite them in the ass, and I cannot wait to watch and to laugh.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. In Tumblr's case, there were a lot of lolly hentai artists. There were lolly hentai artists and possible child prostitution services being solicited through there.
But they just straight up banned everything that's adult content, which is not right. That's not okay.
Well, it's right. It's right. Facebook doesn't allow pornography, so I don't think it's unreasonable. I think business-wise, I think they just pretty much ended their service.
When they suddenly take a 180 turn.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not. If they are experiencing something where there's child pornography and even pornographic images, even if it's art of children, they almost have
the optics are just too bad. They don't have a choice.
Well, and they have a legal liability.
That's true. But do you know why those even were able to be posted or put on there?
Please tell, Briz.
They fucked up.
Yeah, no.
Well, yeah, their bots weren't catching it, and but if they don't have the architecture to put that in place, this is their answer to it, because the reality of the situation is the United States federal government doesn't care why they can't catch it, and they won't care, and the people that run and own Tumblr will care when they're sitting in a courtroom.
Yeah, and
that's true.
Another thing in why
watch their own ass. What I'm saying is, Tumblr's probably just going to fall apart.
It will. Will.
And who cares?
Yeah, who cares?
Because
Yeah.
they're going to find a new place to put it.
Yeah, I mean, like MySpace
Oh,
went away, and
absolutely.
look, well, MySpace is still technically around, but nobody uses it.
Yeah, legit. I bet I could buy MySpace for like $5.
Yeah, when it comes to the child porn and stuff like that, I have no sympathy for
Oh,
anybody, anywhere.
Absolutely.
Nobody
not.
should. Nobody should, to be honest. But yeah,
Mhm.
here's a funny thing
I
though, where
just think maybe they should have announced that they were gonna do it a couple of days
I
ahead of time,
disagree.
so that people who posted actual normal porn for normal people
No, Briz,
would
listen.
be able to tell people where they were gonna be putting their new stuff
Yeah,
up.
no, listen, Briz. A quick and sudden delete of the tags is a far more
Preferable?
effective, far more easy thing for them to do than for them, and it's going to get more results. Like,
That's true.
Well, and look at it this way, from a legal aspect, every day that stuff is up on their website, they are liable. They're aiding and abetting and providing a service that is delivering that kind of a content. There are huge legal ramifications.
here's the funny thing about where like lolly hentai falls in this weird legal gray area, because you see, what I read somewhere that the FBI, they don't really care about that stuff because they want to go after actual pedophiles, and they do not consider going after people who just draw sexually provocative pictures of children to be worth their time and resources, which
Is weird.
Understand?
Why do
want
they
them
not?
to spend the resources? They need to spend the resource on it. They're pedophiles. I mean,
I don't disagree.
Enough with the lolly. I mean, seriously, enough with it. We know what it is. It's just skirting around by putting it into a form of art, but it's the same. It's causing the same reaction from the people.
Believe me, I don't disagree. I mean, let me put it this way. Richard Spencer refers to this shit as ethical child pornography. That's the most damning thing you can say about it.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely. It's wrong.
No, not just that. I mean, that's a term coined by Richard Spencer, the big white nationalist on campus. Like, can you think of any worse kind of branding?
Well, if I were to make any predictions for 2019, I would predict that the feds are going to go into these social media platforms, and that's probably why they're doing it in December.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee that the Department of Justice is going to be going into Facebook and Twitter after the first of the year.
Oh, no doubt. All I can say is, like, I hope is just like, because like I said, what Razorfist pointed out is that when the law does get involved in a problem, it tends to overcorrect it.
Oh, it always does, and it's I don't even think that it's the best solution, other than I don't know what that solution is actually, because when what it comes down to, there's an argument that the companies are making that it's their platform, and that is true, but there are also other aspects of it that they get tax breaks based on what they classify themselves as far as a business. They classify themselves as a communications platform.
I would kind of think the private company argument more or less falls apart once you realize these platforms are publicly traded.
Well, yeah. And they really are. If they reclassify them as a public utility, which they almost need to, and there's precedent for the federal government went in and deregulated the phone companies, so there is precedent for this happening, and you have, because of that, that's why you have so many different phone carriers, and there's regulations as far as how many that they can just buy up. And right now, because like you said, the government tends to come in late, and they're way behind. Law is way behind as far as the internet. And that's what's, you look back in the 90s, the internet was fantastic. Yeah, even though but you might have had some more salacious stuff going on behind the scenes as far as child pornography. And in fact, it was rampant. But
really? Are you saying because like when back in the 90s, I was in grade school, so I kind of missed out on that whole era. So
It was rampant on AOL.
was it that easy?
On AOL, people just traded it back and forth in chat rooms over 14.4 modems. I mean, it was rampant. And there was no, at that time, the federal agencies weren't even watching the internet. So, more than one occasion, I was in college at the time, and AOL was relatively new. So we were, myself and my roommates, we were on it every night,
I remember hearing about, like, if you went on, I think, like, on the B thread over on 4chan, you could find CB, but you more or less have to go on the dark web to find that.
Well, B is way after that. I mean, there wasn't even the World Wide Web as you know it now at the time. What didn't even exist. You didn't go on the web. You basically logged into AOL, and that's where you got all your content. That was your service provider.
Well, it was like the only one at the time, wasn't it?
There was like CompuServe, and there were a couple of other things like that didn't pan out, but
yeah.
Well,
and it was pretty wild. But as far as the child pornography and stuff like that goes, I mean, let's be honest about, people in the government and law enforcement that are involved in it too. There's plenty of that going on. So
Oh, absolutely. I bet you.
There is dirty money.
Judges, I mean, they're all into it, and there's rumors abounding.
Yeah, but the one thing is, no, I'm not saying. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, yeah, there's going to be people in it. There's going to be crooked people in every governmental position at some point or another. It is inevitable. The only thing you can control is how thoroughly you screen them first. Pretty much, is what I'm saying. In order to set government positions and corruption like that.
It's even difficult to even, do that. Who knows? How, now that they've got... when your vote is being counted by computerized machines, you have no way to ever know what kind of code is being injected into those machines. And in fact, the Diebold machines, I think the software is made in Israel. So, there's no way to control.
Oh, boy.
It's out of control.
Yeah, there's like...
Yeah.
So, bringing it back to something a little bit more uplifting than talking about CP, because...
Yeah, well, it's just one aspect of Tumblr. I've never even been interested in Tumblr. I've never been interested in Instagram either.
Yeah,
so
I set up an official changeling Tumblr, but I barely used it just because I didn't really get the site.
I mean, I used Tumblr for one thing, and that was finding, certain artists that I couldn't find anywhere else. Because, well...
We don't need to go into detail why. We don't need the details.
Yeah,
I'm
but
sure
basically...
it doesn't work for you that well anymore.
I personally didn't see any of that on Tumblr, so when you started I was a little confused, but yeah, I guess it makes sense.
Well, you did say artists I couldn't find anywhere else.
Whoa, what?
You did say artists I couldn't find anywhere else, okay? So I didn't leave a lot of room for interpretation.
Well, as long as there's
I'd rather not have Hentai Haven posted on my search history, thank you.
Incognito child.
Hey, start looking at some real girls, all right?
I do, thank you.
I mean, I gotta say, I don't know what happened to Tumblr, but I hope someone made a reaction meme to the situation that just said laughs and asexual.
I'm pretty sure the channers are already on that.
Yeah. Anyway, I gotta go, y'all. It's been wonderful talking. See y'all tomorrow or whatever.
We love having you on, Briz.
Thanks,
Take it easy.
Make me happy.
Take it easy.
Peace.
As long as there's a demand for anything, the source is gonna pop up. You have like DeviantArt, which is which used to be just all the top 3D artists and concept artists in all the different industries would be on there with their portfolios. But now when you go there, if you look at, they have a what's hot tab so you can see what everyone's looking at. It's all cosplay. And it,
well, there was a lot of cosplay, but yeah, I'm not disagreeing. Like I used to have it. I mean, I set up another DeviantArt for the comic, but I had another one back in the day. I deleted it just because I sort of got tired of the site because I really wasn't liking a lot of the content I was finding on there. And let's just say if you search for the wrong categories, you can find some really, really messed up stuff.
You can search for anything and end up with random naked chicks holding the thing that you're trying to search for. Like you search for a cup of tea, you have a chick holding it next to her crotch, naked.
That's a relatively new thing. That's something that started in about the last 2 or 3 years because that's not what DeviantArt was.
I can remember really because I can remember this as far back as 5 years, man.
Well, you would always find those corners, but most of the serious artists they left DeviantArt and went to ArtStation.
Yeah.
But eventually, everything's going to shift over to ArtStation too. So it's it goes through all these different phases.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, this is like do we call this like a market cycle or something? I'm not really sure or what this falls under.
Okay, so I heard about this thing called the life cycle of Bobs, and I'm bringing this in because I want to talk about something a little slightly more innocent.
Okay, go ahead.
And it has to do a little bit with art, like things move to different parts. The difference is that it's not a cycle; it's just a lot. It's just a transition for what you guys are talking about. So when you're first born, your Bob is Robert. That's your birth name, and then as you get when you're taller, you're like you're Robbie, Bobby, something like that, right? And then as time goes on, you're just Rob, then Bob, then Bobbert, and then eventually you'll go down all the way back to becoming Robert again as time goes on. And it's this weird thing. It's this weird thing that happens with just like how names work as far as our conceptions of how they should be. It's a fascinating thing, and I'm explaining it terribly. But basically what happened in confines to like what you guys are talking about with things. Basically, the people on a site kind of like change with the times and are like, this one's actually better. I don't know why I ever went to this one. And then eventually, DeviantArt will just be back to what DeviantArt used to be because of that life cycle.
Yeah, and there tends to be, like about a 10-year cycle on things. That seems pretty much normal. Facebook is bleeding right now, especially the young demographic. They're all leaving it. So now everybody's grandparents are on Facebook, and that's kind of when MySpace imploded. That's kind of what happened. All the young people left and went to a new platform.
While we're on that subject, I've actually been finding quite a few young people on Twitter that are like right within the right demographic for the audience Changeling is intended for. So I'm at least, let me put it this way: I think I've at least scoped out at least a handful of people I can ship out like review copies to, and they can tell their followers about it, and hopefully that spreads. So you just kind of, it's kind of getting to the point where I just gotta know where to look.
And there'll be new things popping up here very soon.
Yeah.
Who knows what platforms? I'm sure right now there's things in the works. There has to be things in the works. because there's a hole in the market for it, and someone with money right now is planning to unleash something. And when that happens, because they know the minute they do, millions of people are going to pour into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it almost makes it sound like I'm assuming you've got some familiarity with like Minds.com and Gab model.
Sure, there'll be a replacement for everything that's out right now, and I would say somebody is probably working on a replacement for YouTube. And that's where, kind of not to get us back into what we were previously talking about, but these companies do get some federal funding. It gets snuck in the form of either tax breaks or infrastructure. They get access to, the lines that the government puts in, whether it's fiber optics and things. There's always the little backroom deals going on, and right now the smaller companies like Gab, they don't have access to that. That's the only thing slowing them down.
Really, and it's not the fact that Gab kind of more or less became a quote unquote haven for white nationalists.
Well, and whatever opens up will be, and you know what? It's interesting. I was watching Tug tonight. He said something really interesting. He said, I don't know if I'm a free speech absolutist. And I was thinking, well, I am, and you should be. And he said, well, I would like to be, but there are some things that you can't talk about. Now, if you can get a community to police itself, that's the best thing, and not have the government step in, because the government will just muck everything up.
Yeah.
But white nationalism, every single device I have in my home, whether it's a tablet, a television, a laptop, a computer, my phone, every single one of them has a power button. I don't have a single thing in my house that I plug in that doesn't have a power button. So all of this hand wringing that goes on, I think it's more of an issue that you have two generations of kids that have never had, no adult has ever stood up in the room and said, deal with it. Yeah, that's the biggest problem that we're going through now. It's not white nationalism. It's not racism. It's not SJWs. I mean, all those things manifest their own little annoyances, or they add to the overall debate. But what really the problem is that all the outrage and whining and people being offended is that for 20 years now, no one has stood up and said, so you're offended. Who cares?
And I don't disagree. I don't necessarily disagree. I mean, like, if you don't like, no one is saying you got to follow these people. I mean, like, honestly, that's about, and honestly, I hate to talk about him again, but the only reason why Richard Spencer was ever a thing to begin with was because the media wouldn't shut up about him.
Well, there's no way that you can be forced to watch or listen or do anything with any of these people. Anybody you don't like. I mean, sure, yeah, you could just click on a page and some image pops up and you're highly offended, but close it. I mean, come on. Certainly, and if the internet is that much of a minefield, stay off of it.
Yeah, fuck it. Like, there's quite a few. There's quite a few accounts on Twitter that I've got blocked or muted just because I don't want to deal with them.
Well, and it's you're getting into more of the nanny state issues of where people don't have the self-control to turn something off. They literally do not have the personal self-discipline to not look at something, where they need someone to come in and make sure that they can't look at it. I mean, that's a sad state of affairs of where we are. And of course, I'm in the U.S., and fortunately, it's not as bad here as it is in some places. I mean, some places have it way worse.
Oh man, yeah, and like out in China, you look up the wrong thing and the government can arrest you.
Yeah, and it runs the gamut from, you know, you get over to the UK and some of those places where you go to jail for saying the wrong thing, but they're
like with Count Dankula, like all he did was put up a video where he was training his girlfriend's dog to do a Hitler salute just to annoy her, and he almost went to prison.
Yeah, and then you go to your extreme, like you were saying, where you go to some countries and they'll kill you. So, and then here in the United States, people don't have the power to not look at a screen or to hit a power button. So what would you do if you were in these other countries? Well, unfortunately, right now, the agenda as far as the tech companies and the media companies is being controlled by the same people. Hey, don't fool yourself for 1 second if you don't think that they would drag you out of your house in the middle of the night if they could. They absolutely would. That's the kind of ideology that these people subscribe to. You know, you want to find out what you want to kind of get a picture of what the United States is on track for. Go study the Russian Revolution and the Bolshevik Revolution in the early 1900s and in the Soviet.
Well, we've got someone who's probably an expert on that.
That's where we are right now. Before that, but you know, people talk all the time. Oh, that's just hey, if they're going to bike lock you over the head for just being at a protest, they would absolutely love to have some NKVD type squads come to the middle of the night and be able to drag you out of your house. And they would. So it's crucial to never let these people get a further handhold. But I think they're kind of on the downturn. I think, you know, you're seeing such crazy behavior because they, you know, like you talk about a rat in the corner, you know, it gets ferocious and tries to fight back. They're almost backed into the corner. And so the most dangerous time is probably yet ahead, but I do think we're living in a historical time. It's an interesting time to be.
No doubt. And it's I'll definitely say this: if the government files Antifa classifies Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization, we'll definitely be on the right track.
Well, and they have. It's been done now. So.
Well, I thought it was like only out in New Jersey. Has it been done at the federal level?
I think the FBI has, yes. So, you know, they're.
Oh, so great! Now if you're in and you hear that, any Antifa supporters, you're now considered a terrorist.
It doesn't matter though, because you still have states out west that operate above federal law, anyways.
Yeah, like the Ninth Circuit Court, which me and Dylan happen to reside in.
Yeah, there's a lot of craziness going on. Yeah, they're California, their judicial system out there, they just decide not to follow the law. It happens all the time, and then the feds don't have the wherewithal to go in and enforce it.
Oh man, you know something? There's this funny cartoon. There's this cartoonist I follow on Twitter called Stone Toss. He makes these really edgy and politically incorrect like webcomics. He's got this one where it's out in the desert, and this guy's got a gun drawn on people who are supposedly refugees, and they say, "Don't shoot us. We're from California," and he shoots them anyway.
That's like some of that horrible. Have you seen any of the readings that Edwin has done of Border Town? Good God, that's some horrible propaganda.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I actually saw just some guy's video on where he recently went over an interview the writer did, and he talked about how he grew up and he was like sort of the odd one out because he was biracial, and it's kind of, well, I don't want to say it's clear, but there seems to be a lot of implications that his main character is more or less a self-insert for himself.
Oh, sure. They always do that. They insert themselves into every character.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, that's the reason why Maeve is a girl. So I keep some distance from her. I need her to be her own person.
That's part of the problem that the big two in comics are having right now, is that all of their writers, and it's not the artists so much. Some of the artists may have the same ideology, but it's the writers that are, you know, that's why you have a certain writer who every story she writes, they're eating in it, because
Mariko Tamaki.
Yeah, I mean that's every comic book he opens and someone's making pancakes or something. But it's because they put themselves into the character, and they're not interesting people. So of course the stories in the comic books they write are not interesting either.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, like I remember I made this one tweet like a couple of months back, and it got a lot of traction. Like even Andrew Huerta was arting and saying, and he basically was saying this is true. Like what it said to the effect of was Comic Pro in 2018. I want to write my life story, but my life story isn't interesting enough for an autobiography. So I'll just take this beloved character and use him as an avatar for myself.
Well, yeah, and you're even in like cinema and film, you're not seeing any fantastic original movies coming out. You're seeing remakes and reboots because no one that's really working in the industry right now, with the exception of a few, but the majority are not interesting enough or creative enough, and even themselves as a character are not interesting enough. So they just have to take little bits and pieces, and really those industries out there, comic books is just is the beginning. The music industry's completely been taken over.
Yeah.
The maker community, which is all these companies doing 3D printing and I mean, you can see it on YouTube. You can see the change that's happened. Really, I'd say over the last 5 years specifically, but it's been ongoing longer than that.
Probably about, I would say, like the moment YouTube came on the scene, which was like back in 2005, so a little over 10 years.
Yeah, and YouTube is still it's a fantastic service. I wish they could get it under control, because it would really be a shame to lose it. And it's almost to the point now where it's like it's such a knowledge base, such a useful knowledge base. There's things all the time that you go on YouTube. You've got to figure out how to do something. Oh, go to YouTube and see if there's something on there.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, BitChute is great, but it's not a viable alternative at this point.
Well, the streaming is what's keeping YouTube going, and the ability to keep all that and all of that data that they're pushing. But the infrastructure that it takes to run a service like that is incredible.
And let's not discount the fact that YouTube probably makes some good money off those super chats.
Well, they're making money now, but that's a relatively recent thing. But they are going to have problems. I can guarantee you, with this new thing they're doing, where they're just arbitrarily taking a super chat and sending it to a charity of their choice.
Oh yeah, like
they're gonna.
Like that thing with the kill stream. Like, oh man, I think in that case that should have opened them up to legal ramifications, just because that has to fall under the legal definition of theft in some regard, because that was money that those people donated to that specific cause, and YouTube essentially snatched it.
Well, they refunded it to the people that made the contribution, but now they're doing something where if someone does a super chat and they find the comment to be offensive, they will arbitrarily decide to send it to some charity. And that still
sounds like theft.
That's theft. What happened with the kill stream, basically they just canceled the super chats and send them back to the people that made the donations. But yeah, they're going to do this thing to the wrong person with the super chats now, and they're going to get sued and they're going to lose, because right now they do not have the courts, and they definitely don't have the Supreme Court. So
yeah, that's, like I said, like that shit right there, that's the legal that falls under theft. No, completely black and white there.
Well, it is absolutely theft, and if that ever happened to me, I'd go to my bank and I would reverse that charge.
Yeah. Well, you don't have. Well, you and guys like you and me, we don't have the money to hire a lawyer to take on YouTube.
Well, very few guys do, but they will run into the wrong one, or a law firm will just decide that they will take the case for the publicity.
Oh yeah.
You get
There's got to be an ambulance chaser out there somewhere who wants such a high-profile case.
And not necessarily an ambulance chaser. You could get some high-powered firm that just says, hey, if we take this case, we're going to be a nationwide name. They put 10 lawyers on it in their firm, and you're going to see something like that happen eventually.
Yeah, definitely and let's just hope it. Yeah, because like about the only thing I've got that even sounds remotely close to this was when Hulk Hogan sued Gawker, and we were just lucky that it was someone like Hulk Hogan who had the money and also the goodwill to take on people like that.
Yeah, and he destroyed them. Gawker is no more.
Yep.
Destroyed them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? Nobody is too big to not go down. The only reason that they don't go down is because they're protected. So, and the government does protect certain entities. You know, it's, tech companies, or they can make those decisions to do that. When the government decides they're no longer going to protect, then the sharks will start circling. And I do think we're going to see that in the second term. So we got through the midterms in talking about the U.S. here, but I do think that the United States Department of Justice that's going to be priority going into the first part of this year, probably the first quarter of this year. They're going to set the pace and set a roadmap for exactly what's going to be happening with the social media companies. Because you can make an argument at some point that it's crucial. You have to be able to have a Twitter and a Facebook presence to do business. You can make that argument.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like I don't. Yeah, like books like Jawbreakers and even Wampool, they would not have gotten where they are without a good social media profile. I mean, like that's basically what I'm doing on Twitter all the time. Like I am like I've poured like a whole lot of my time and energy into just finding people I can sell the book on.
Hey, what channel are we on?
We are on Dylan's because mine, unfortunately, was hit with a community guidelines strike, and it's going to be there until January.
Hey, send me at Model316 on Twitter. Send me the link.
I'll do it right now. Give me a moment.
Yeah, but you remember the case that happened out west, where with the bakery, right, and the cake.
The Christian bakery that would not bake a cake for a gay wedding because it's against.
All the left and the SJWs danced in victory, but it's like, whoa, wait a minute. You guys have set precedent here. You've set legal precedent that also gives the Supreme Court a court case to look at and say, well, this bakery was forced and basically run out of business because of this. So, that will affect some of these other companies that come and say, well, we're a private company. Well, I'm sorry. Look what the court has ruled here in this case. Why are you any different? So kind of shows how short-sighted they are. Oh, absolutely. But it doesn't matter when things are stacked in their favor, but right now they're not. So, and hopefully it stays that way for a while, because it will take some time to correct. There's a lot of damage that's been done. I do not disagree. Yeah, there's like, I mean, I guess just to bring it back to Razor Fist, people think the future is going to look like Star Trek when it's more likely going to look more like Blade Runner. Or Mad Max. Oh man, I'm deciding which one is worse.
I
don't know. I mean, like in Blade. I mean, do you guys, Zeno, Ginger, you guys have any take there?
Well, I think that you're still picking movies that are pretty cool and kind of go on it by say how Twitter is doing things these days. It's probably just gonna be Idiocracy instead of all those things you named.
Or maybe Demolition Man.
We are in Idiocracy right now, that's for sure. Wait a minute, I got it.
But not to its full extent yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, give it a little bit of time.
Actually, there's a. Hate to actually give this guy some credit because I don't really like him, but he's right. It's by Confused Matthew. He has this quote that goes, "Demolition Man is the future the left thinks the right wants to create, and idiocracy is the future the right thinks the left wants to create." No, wait, it's the other way around. I got it wrong. Fuck, I got it wrong. Yeah, idiocracy is what is the future the left thinks the right wants to create, and Demolition Man is the future the right thinks the left wants to create.
Well, I tell you who I love, and is that Cortez lady, that from New York.
Oh yeah, she's a blessing in disguise. Like every time she opens.
She's a gold mine. She's going to be entertainment. She comes out with some goofy thing every.
I see her as a blessing in disguise. I mean, like the DNC, they were a dumpster fire to begin with. She's just throwing gasoline onto it.
Yeah, she is something else. I love her.
Yeah, me too. Oh, she's just a gift that keeps on giving.
Who are you talking
about? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's a representative from New York, and she is like supposedly, she is quote unquote the first socialist candidate, but she hasn't so far ever since she's gotten elected. She has just been like, she was protesting Nancy fucking Pelosi. It was like
a gaff machine.
Okay, so you understand this, Ginger? Nancy Pelosi is like one of the big names in the Democrats.
Right.
Like, she's been there for years.
Extreme left socialist too.
Yeah, like she's one of the. But like I said, like she's one of the big names. Like she's a Democrat whose name and word carries a lot of weight within the party. And now you've got Alexandria Cortez, who's protesting someone she should be allies with.
She might be one of the dumbest politicians that we've ever had. She might be.
Like, I don't know. Do you guys have anyone on the UK who kind of fits that kind of mold? Like someone who's just an absolute gaff machine who just says things that just makes their party look bad.
Well, Cameron was that, right?
I don't know. I mean, Cameron was. He more made you just kind of rub the bridge of your nose, like, oh my god.
I thought the worst thing about David Cameron was that people found out he might have fucked a pig.
Well,
that's not the worst thing about him. That's
one of the funniest things.
Yeah. That's a funny thing, but
it's a quirk.
It's a quirk to fuck a pig, Dylan.
Yeah, sure, why not?
You've taken a thing that I said that in hindsight didn't sound that great, and you kind of yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just. I don't know. Maybe you guys are just. Maybe you guys just have better. You guys just are better at selecting. I know, or maybe they're just better at maintaining better. If they just have better optics, I don't know. I'm not in the UK.
I don't know. I don't think ours are any better. They're just less entertaining.
Because I almost want to say Jeremy Corbyn, but people like him, I think.
Yeah, some people do, but like, I don't know. Although I guess
Jeremy Corbyn is a pretty good analog for Cortez when it comes to politics. They're both very, very far left, even for their own party.
Yeah, I mean, Corbyn was kind of our Bernie, I would say.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, definitely.
You could have our Bernie if you want to have the real one.
Yeah, take him if you want him.
I don't know, would he survive the trip?
Good question. And I think he even says he wants to try running for president in 2020 if there's no better candidate. By that time, he'd be 79.
Well, Hillary's talking about running.
I'll be a. I don't think she won't. She won't. Her health is gonna have deteriorated so much that she won't be. I don't think she'll even be able to get out of bed. Like I imagine that Hillary is gonna go out like Charles Foster Kane. She's gonna be laying in her bed, dying, and then she drops a snow globe up the White House, and her last words are, "POTUS."
Would you see that picture of Bill going around? How terrible he looks! Holy moly!
A friend of mine says he looks like he has advanced syphilis.
He does. He absolutely looks like he has got.
You said he does.
Or
I thought you were going to
hepatitis.
say. I thought you were going to lead that into that. He has advanced syphilis. How dare you insult him?
I was like, oh.
Yeah, he's definitely got something. He might have HIV actually, or he's just ravaged from all the cocaine and alcohol, which is very likely that plus something else.
Well, hasn't he gone to that weird child sex island a lot on that private plane?
So allegedly.
Allegedly.
Well, no, he's been on that. He's been on that plane with Epstein. They know that.
Yeah. Like I said, hence why we said allegedly.
We can't prove it, but we do know it.
Yeah.
You can't prove it, but he did it.
Allegedly for sure.
You can't prove it, but he did it.
Allegedly. That's ignorant.
We don't know that he did for sure, but he did for sure.
We don't know,
Can't prove he did.
but there's video and audio evidence of this.
Well, and that's why it's so hard to topple it, because when you have people at that level that are,
yeah.
it's a highly protected thing. It's in the churches. You have the three major places of power in the world, which are the Vatican, London, and DC, and it's going on in all three of them. So how are you going to stop it?
Yeah.
These are people that can murder at will and cover it up. So.
Gets even spookier because like a friend of mine said, like the reason why you can't just get rid of the CIA is because as bad as they are, at least now they're being kept on a leash. They do a lot worse if they went rogue.
Oh, sure, and they would be. They would just dissolve into some other organization behind the scenes.
Well, not just that. I mean, like, no. I mean, like, imagine all the fucked up shit that people say the CIA has done. Now imagine. I mean, like, right now they supposedly have accountability. Now imagine that it was more or less a foregone conclusion that they didn't. That all these guys are now rogue and they've got nothing holding them back.
Well, they don't. They don't anyways, because they always have the option of classifying something as a black project or.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. But at least now, like I said, there's at least the appearance that they're kept on a leash.
Well, the appearance to the public, yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It's semantics, really.
I know. Like, let me just put it this way: them actually going rogue is a lot worse, potentially.
Well, you've got elements of the Mossad out there. You have elements of the CIA, elements of MI6 from London. That they have a whole little thing that they operate that nobody knows about. Nobody knows where they. Every time you hear about money missing, remember when remember the day before 9/11 when Rumsfeld announced there was $2.3 trillion missing from the GOA? Mm-hmm. That's where that money goes.
Yeah, I remember seeing a Mouthy Buddha video where he talked about like how there's supposedly $9 trillion that the government can't account for.
Sure, and it's probably way more than that. It's probably 3 times that easily or more. And there's never. I mean, how are you going to account for it? They print their own money, so it.
Thanks for taking us off the gold standard, Nixon.
Well, it was JFK tried to put us back on. You saw what happened to him.
Mm.
He was going to put us on silver certificates again, and he didn't make it too far. So, thanks to that was more than likely CIA right there that took care of that. So,
okay, now, Dylan, do you think Are we talking about comics, or are we about to turn into a low-rent InfoWars?
I'm thinking about ending this podcast so that I don't get I don't get blacklisted.
Well, being live is the only thing keeping you alive.
That doesn't help.
No, we can talk about whatever. It's just the conversation is kind of stayed along.
Yeah, I went
Twitter
to
and social media and things like that.
Yep. How about we shift over to Xeno, because like, dude, you had that comic Immortal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to know what's the whole premise behind that, man.
So the Archangel Uriel gets cast out of heaven, plummets to Earth. He's sent to Earth instead of hell, essentially, because his job in heaven was to guard the gates and stop the armies of hell from taking over. So in hell, he would be too much at home. It wouldn't really be a punishment. So on Earth, he's more confined. He has to possess a dead human body because he doesn't have a physical form.
So they're like a bit of a, for lack of a better term, is there like a bit of a Highlander thing going on here?
There could only be one angel.
I have never seen Highlander.
That's a no. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Well,
Sure, yeah.
I actually seen it when I was little. Don't remember shit. Remember it looking kind of cool, like back in the 90s.
Well, you had a movie where people were getting their heads chopped off.
But yeah, so it comes to Earth. Is friends with Anubis and Horus, the Egyptian gods, who obviously are kind of retired from being gods now, and they just run a garage together, like auto shop, I guess, because it's set in America.
Garage mechanics, whatever,
Well, yeah,
both work.
You know what I mean. And they just kind of they have human forms that they take, and that's their day to day. Uriel is now trapped on Earth, so he's just gonna go and hang out with them. He kind of picks up a human girl, called Sin. It's short for Cynthia, but she had a messed up upbringing. Her parents were idiots. They spelled it wrong, and she hates the name, so she goes by Sin.
Is it spelled exactly how I think it is?
Yeah, probably.
Isn't it like CYN?
It usually is, but in her case, it's SIN.
Okay.
Parents really were just stupid.
Oh yeah.
I know what you mean, because like when my best friend's son on Jedediah was born,
Right.
yes, his name is Jedediah.
It's not off to a good start there.
Well, it was almost worse, because for a while they were calling him Jedi, and I'm just thinking to myself, oh god, that's a name he's gonna get beaten up for.
Yeah.
So but luckily I think they wised up, and it's just Jed.
I guess that's still better than ABCD.
Yeah, Absidy. Oh,
Ebsidy or whatever her name was. Sad.
There was that one chick who was called Ladasha.
well, that's a Russian name, isn't it?
No. I'll
Dashes.
L-A and then a dash, wasn't it?
Oh,
it was like, let me type it out. I cannot seem to type it out on the Discord. But yeah, it was spelled like L-A, and then there was like a little squiggly line, and then there was an A after it, and the mom said she's called Ladasha because the dash ain't silent, yo.
I hate her.
Yeah, there's some weird. Your parents, you see that every now and then. You see some weird name. There was I remember when I was growing up, I was watching a TV show, and it was one of these daytime things, and there was someone that named their kid Zippity Doodah. I'm not.
Oh my lord!
The kid's name was Zippity Doodah.
Was it Mr. and Mrs. Day?
It just crazy. I mean, it's something like, why would you be punished here? You just set your child up for just failure and ridicule growing up. At the worst time, when you really don't have the mental tools to deal with it, and you've got some just random crazy name that you got to deal with.
My name is Sue. How do you do? Same logic behind that song.
Oh my god!
I'm not wrong, am I?
No, you're not.
No, not at all. I think I've known a lot of people. Just especially, you run into people online and they have some name,
Very weird. That's very weird. Like, and I thought, I mean, like, I'm not kidding when I say my mom literally picked my name at random.
Oh.
Like, she was flipping through when I was born, she flipped through a baby book, found Breton, and said to herself, that sounds unique.
Well, I grew up, knew a guy, his last name was Kuntz. His last name, it was Kuntz. But what teenage kids do.
Yeah.
They pronounce it as cunts.
Of course. So then, the guys, it was always like, oh, I never heard that before. That's
hard. Yeah.
Oh man, and I thought I was awful for sticking. Ginger's gonna probably know. Ginger, did I tell you about the unfortunate nickname Jenny got stuck with when she was a kid?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, Jenny, who is May's best friend, she is a tall Korean girl. Now, I wrote in that she's always been tall for her age. You're tall and you're Asian. There's only one nickname you're going to get stuck with.
You want us to guess?
I think you probably only need one guess. I mean, like, think about it. If you're tall and Asian, there's kind of only one name you can reasonably be stuck with.
Is it pronounced with the R or the L?
I could think of a few. I think you can string a number of things back together. I love that. I love that meme of that school yearbook where the kid's name is Damn Son. And like, you always see people come up and go, "Damn son," they post that picture of that kid.
All right, so yeah, what do you guys think she got stuck with?
I'm going Godzilla.
I mean, is it something long, or
let's just Xeno?
It's not as obvious as you think.
Xeno got it. Although I think they probably pronounced it with the L.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't matter that she's Korean and not Japanese. She's Asian. That's all that matters.
All that matters.
Yeah. Kids are just mean.
Kids are little drunk assholes. That's what they are.
Little drunk assholes.
I was.
Okay, so like you got Uriel who hangs out with Anubis and Horus. They have their own auto shop.
Uriel.
You also said like he's got a girlfriend named Sin, who is
not his girlfriend. She's just a girl who kind of follows him home.
Okay. When you say girl, we talking just a young lady or girl?
24.
Okay.
Some chick.
Yeah. And essentially they fight monsters and demons because that's all he knows how to do. Uriel is a dick. He's
I'm gonna bet he's not very good at talking to communicating with people.
No, not at all.
In other words, is he more or less season 3 Castiel from Supernatural?
No, he's far more violent. It's hard to express. his two emotions are anger and rage, and he has no sort of human elements.
He wouldn't have humanity. He's not human.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he spends a good chunk of the first issue completely naked because putting on clothes isn't something he would care about.
Well,
he's got a thing he's going to do, so he's going to do that. You know, it's that kind of thing. So, yeah, and he's way overpowered.
So, okay, so like, what exactly were you aiming tonal wise?
Sorry?
Like, is this dramatic? Kind of, is it a little funny?
Yeah,
it's funny and violent.
It's funny and violent, over the top. There'll be dramatic parts, but yeah, for the most part, it's just meant for the comedic value of it.
Like, Uriel doesn't have much capacity for drama, you know, serious drag zone forever drama, so yeah.
So really, it's kind of gonna. Okay, so like say Deadpool minus the fourth wall humor.
Yeah, kind of.
Minus humor.
Yeah, minus the humor.
No, I said the fourth. No, not the humor. The fourth wall humor.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. Like, Uriel doesn't have a sense of humor at all.
Well, I mean, I'm talking more like in tone. I'm not talking like the character. Okay. I mean the tone. Like Deadpool comics, like they have other styles of jokes besides breaking the fourth wall and making pop culture references.
Nothing else good.
Yeah.
So no humor is basically what you're saying.
No chimichangas.
No.
But yeah, I mean, I can kind of. But yeah, I guess that's also pretty accurate. Like he's, I don't know, maybe more like or maybe more like a much more comedic Punisher.
Okay, that
yeah, kind of like the temperament of the Punisher, in more of a Deadpool style tone. Yeah.
But like I said, like probably not really any breaking the fourth wall though.
No.
Oh, that's kind of. I mean, that's kind of good. I mean, like we got, because I also floated this to Ginger because she probably told you that Matt, Dan, and I are sort of folding all three of our books into a shared universe. Because this actually sounds like one that could fit in. I mean, like Matt and Dan, both their books, Mythics and Adobe Kroger, they are much more dramatic.
Yeah.
Dramatic, where with some humor. Changeling has it's kind of, I sort of put it in that sweet spot where it's kind of a little of both. But then yours kind of has, it's more comedy with some drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on which character you focus on, I guess.
Yeah.
For the story, because then that could get dramatic. But Uriel's not gonna get it.
No. Again, with Uriel, he's crazy overpowered. So if a story's focusing on him, there's not going to be much like dramatic tension or anything like that.
He knows he can mess. He knows he can fuck up anything in his warpath.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be just all action, all blood, gore, that kind of thing.
Definitely not intended for a young audience.
No.
Nah, it's meant, not a young audience, the youngest audience.
Yeah.
Okay, are we talking like what's a good comparison? Are we talking like, say, Hellsing levels of violence?
Yeah.
I was gonna say it sounds to me like Hellsing levels or something even worse.
About the only other thing I had, Dylan, off the top of my head would probably be maybe Goblin Slayer, Berserk, or fucking Dead Man Wonderland.
Yeah, they're probably good reference points.
I think that if you're doing a crossover with Changeling, like Uriel stuff happens off screen, so to say.
Yeah.
I'd be impressed if we could ever cross Immortal over with Changeling. I mean, like, at least with like, say, Mythics, like, which is actually that's kind of amazing that I could make like a Althea from Mythics or Regina from Rags work in Changeling, but then again, their characters can sort of, as long as certain key elements of their characters are present, those are characters that could work anywhere. But
I think it would be a parallel universe crossing sort of event, you know.
I don't know. I don't know. I think in our universe there could be room for a book like Immortal. It's just like it's kind of like how Guardians of the Galaxy sort of occupies its own unique space in the Marvel Cinematic Universe from, like, say, Captain America or the other Avenger movies.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, the Horus and Anubis, they're also quite fleshed out.
Yeah.
Because Horus is kind of this fancy, considerate guy, and Anubis is, well...
Yeah.
Well, Anubis
is more...
If I remember correctly, Anubis, if I remember correctly, god of the dead, and Horus, god of knowledge?
Anubis is like the shepherd of the dead.
Anubis is a god of judgment. He judges the dead. Osiris is a god of dead.
And Horus, god of magic, I think.
God of magic. That's super legit. Well, he's the son of Osiris. The pharaoh was supposed to be Horus.
Yeah.
Like the embodiment of Horus.
Yeah, we're not going to stick super close to... I mean, we're going to use the original lore or mythology, or however you want to call it, as a guide, but then we're going to change things to make it fit into our story better and to make, just add interesting twists to things.
Yeah, the idea is that they kind of lived through it, and they were around all those thousands of years ago, and people kind of got bits wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so in other words, the ancient Egyptians did not know what they were really like.
Well, it's ancient Egyptians didn't have phones, for example. So, like in one part of Egypt, like Horus was a falcon, and a different part of Egypt he could be a baboon.
Yeah.
But they still worshipped him. So there wasn't that much communication for a while. And then when that bit kind of improved, there's basically an official version of what the gods are, and that version usually comes from like pharaoh's tombs and stuff like that. But the further you go from the capital city, the more variation you can have. So there's a lot of room.
Yeah,
there's a lot you can play with.
A lot of room to play with.
Well, that's kind of why I went. That's kind of why I like using Celtic mythology so much for Changeling, just because and the reason being is because the Celts didn't get around to developing a written language. That kind of leaves you a lot of wiggle room to interpret things as you see fit. So, like, for instance, changelings in like the original folklore, they're just supposedly fairy babies.
Yeah.
And that's about it. But then I kind of tweaked it a little that changelings, because they sort of become like half human.
Yeah.
And so because I like playing with that idea that they're kind of somewhere in between being both human and fae.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because essentially changelings grow up around humans, so they're already kind of they would have like a human upbringing. They probably
Clark Kent kind of.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely, and not only that, I mean, like they'd grow. Yeah, they'd have a human upbringing. They might even grow up thinking they're human, or just human until they find out what they really are. And then I just took that idea and ran with it wholesale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this year I'm gonna start on a book as well. It's something I've been working on for a long time. So it's very it's a weird process actually sitting down and doing it. You think about it for a long time, then one of the biggest things I run into is like trying to have a little bit of discipline and not making it too big, because it's really easy, you know, in your mind just to start running away with ideas, and then you're like, well, how are you going to ever produce this, or how are you going to put it into one book?
Right.
It's an interesting process.
Yeah, it's kind of like I remember like Jimmy making a video about how the importance of having a literary scalpel, like in knowing what's important to keep and what's important and what you need to remove.
I think I'm gonna hire an artist to do pencils. And inks. I'm gonna do the coloring, but
yeah,
to take some of that out of my hands, I think it'll be easier to do than to obsess over that penciling.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, God, I like Victor's inks, but Ginger really makes them pop when she colors them.
Oh, thank you. I try.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like, I kind of floated the idea of maybe folding Immortal into the Mythoverse because we did introduce the idea that we would have gods.
Yeah.
Because there's like a whole gods realm, and they're sort of powered by belief, and I could almost see it making sense that, hey, maybe Horus and Anubis aren't as powerful these days because people don't believe in them as much anymore.
Yeah, I mean that is what we're going with. Yeah.
An interesting thing is that there is Kemetic Orthodox as a religion. Like, you can sort of practice a modernized version of the old Egyptian faith, but I think it has fewer gods.
The thing is, like, it's like I said, their gods are powered by belief. So
exactly. So they wouldn't be as powerful as back in the day, but it's these sort of things that are still keeping them going.
Yeah.
They have enough. Yeah, they have enough to keep them. They have enough to keep them existing, but they are not as powerful as they used to be.
And they do get sort of residual power just from being well known, even if people don't necessarily believe they exist.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a lot of freedom too to kind of play with the kind of the current understanding of the history, because you can change, like, you know, we had all, you know, just a premise of, you know, well, we thought we understood this, but we had it all wrong. You know, we thought these characters meant this, but they meant, I mean, there's so much freedom and
yeah.
And then
I mean, like,
technology aspect, you know, Stargate did a lot of that, which I thought was really cool.
Well, not just that. I mean, like, I know I said, like, I kind of this is sort of inspired by the work of Carl Jung, more like his stuff concerning the collective unconscious. But I mean, like, this stuff was also kind of present in Xeno. Are you familiar with the Discworld novels?
I'm familiar, but
you know they exist.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. I've heard of them.
That was kind of.
And a couple.
But yeah. Okay, so yeah, that was kind of that kind of popped up in Discworld too. Just there were old gods, but they would sort of change with the times depending on how people believed in them. Like in Hogfather, like which is the Discworld's version of Santa Claus. Not kidding.
Yeah.
Actually, there's even a miniseries for that.
Yeah, TV series.
Yeah, not a TV series. Yeah, a miniseries they put on television. That the Hogfather back in the, like, he was a god for the winter solstice on Discworld, and in the old days he took the form of a hog, but then as times changed, he sort of changed with them, and he became like the modern Hogfather, which is, like I said, is this Santa figure that sort of makes these pig grunts.
Oink, bitch.
Yeah. The Discworld novels were kind of silly, Dylan.
Oh yeah, I understand. That's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, for one of them, I think in that same story, like when the Hogfather disappears, like Death takes over to try and do his job. Yeah, and I mean, like, the actual Death.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just. Trust it. You should probably track down that miniseries. It's actually pretty funny, although it's a little impenetrable if you haven't read Hogfather.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, because like it does kind of require. It's kind of made more for Discworld fans than it is for a general audience. But yeah, that's still sort of the same idea. Like gods sort of are kind of empowered by belief. Like even in Discworld, there's a god of hangovers just because, well, there's a concept of hangovers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like that's kind of that's sort of a thing. Like we sort of, I mean, like yeah, it's even in Warhammer 40K. Like the gods are the Chaos gods are powered by human emotion and thought. And even action. I mean, the Emperor thought he could kill the Chaos gods by getting rid of religion, but no. I mean, as long as people are killing each other, they're still powering corn. Blood for the blood god.
Corn. Sounding like corn.
Yeah, it's blood for the corn, and blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was something we kind of added into the gods realm with the part of the mythoverse is that they're beings that are powered by belief, and I mean, like it kind of almost sounds like immortal could fit in easily.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we are still kind of more or less working out the rules, like stuff like where we're at right now is like with how monsters exist is like vampires and werewolves. They're kind of what happens when humans try messing with the supernatural more than they should. It's kind of like when you try to control nature, it ends up fucking you.
Well, gentlemen, I just noticed it's after 10. I do have to jump off here, but we'll do it again sometime, and then we won't spend so much time talking about derailing into politics.
Yeah, like I said, like if you want, people, that's what InfoWars is for. I don't like to put chemicals in the water that turn the freaking frogs gay.
It's so easy to get derailed into that too.
I know.
It's really funny when I hear people all the time on Twitter. Can we just like keep the politics out of it? And it's almost difficult to do it. I mean, you have to really put effort into it because everything in general life just seems to have. I mean, you can't watch the news, you can't watch a movie, you can't read a comic book.
Well, you won't find that in Changeling, and you know why? Maeve is in fucking high school. She doesn't care that Donald Trump is president.
I was gonna say, comic books are outlawed in Maeve's universe. You'll never find one.
No.
Hey, have you guys seen that the preview for that movie about their like giant cities that are machines?
Oh yeah,
yes.
Mortal Engines, right?
Man, I want to see that. I haven't seen a preview in years where I thought, oh man, I want to see that movie.
And it's by Peter Jackson. So
yeah, and somebody said it's based on a series of books, so I'm gonna have.
Is it?
That's what
I almost thought it was an original work.
Nope, I was told there's a series of books.
Dude, original work in this modern era.
I assumed it was based on books.
Peter Jackson should do it right, I would think.
He probably would. I mean, like,
I saw it looked amazing.
He probably should. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Thanks for coming on, Model. Hopefully we can get you on it. Hopefully we can get you on again. And but in any case, that Maeve model is coming along nicely. And have a Merry Christmas, man.
You too. We'll talk to you soon. You guys take care. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye.
You too, man. Bye-bye.
Going back to focusing on Ginger.
Yeah,
so Ginger, what exactly? So we haven't been able to talk about what you've been doing very much.
I've been drawing stuff for Immortal, and Zeno here has been drawing people's OCs.
And Zeno also took what was supposed to be a not serious comment as a challenge and made a hideous Maeve.
Oh no! Don't.
He will do that.
Right?
It's not Maeve. I don't believe it's Maeve. I refuse to believe it's Maeve. It's not.
Brad, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Are you ready? Because turn on your webcam.
Oh, you're gonna show it, aren't you, Dylan?
No, turn on your webcam.
Why do I have to turn on my webcam?
Turn your webcam on. Grab your hat.
Oh! I have to now eat my hat.
Grab your hat, turn on your webcam.
Those were the times. If I remember.
Okay, give me a sec.
I have focused on you.
All right. Okay. Fine.
All
you
right.
guys can see me, right?
Yeah, we can see you.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you need some seasoning for your hat? Like maybe
Trust me. After what
some allspice.
Actually, give me a sec. Let me turn my desk lamp on so you guys can see me better, because you guys probably can't see with the light behind me.
We can see you. You're just blurry because the camera isn't the best.
Not just that. I mean, like, you can't see me because it looks like I just look like a fucking shadow. Let me give it. Here we are. Give me a moment.
I must have good eyes. Good lord. But yeah,
here we are.
So yeah, get yourself some allspice. I'm sure that your hat's pretty salty by this point.
Oh god, it is. All right, so
get a glass of water. All right, that's not good enough. That thing's still intact.
I'm trying to okay.
Well, boil it. It's fine. Boiled leather.
It's not leather. This is some fabric, and I think isn't the bill made out of cardboard? I don't know.
Yep.
Hey, fiber.
Incredible.
Can I turn it off now, Dylan?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right. So yeah.
Your punishment has happened. It's fine.
All right. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, I ate my hat.
Yeah.
Or tried to, at least. I attempted it.
You made a good effort.
That's the thought that counts.
I feel so bad because you sounded so sad when you asked me if you could turn off the camera.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. You know what? I'm just glad at least Zeno elected to just make an ugly Maeve, because this could have gone a lot worse.
And he could have done it too.
Don't tempt him.
And enjoy it.
Oh god! If I ever see fan art like that of Maeve, I'll fucking die from a broken heart. Like,
well, that's no fun. Eating hats sounded more fun, I guess.
Yeah, eat hats, don't die.
I can't say that because if I do it, I know he'll take it as a challenge, and I'm pretty sure there's someone will find it and take it as a challenge too. It's just like, you just.
You set a precedent there.
I'm just not gonna look. I'm just not gonna bring up that kind of fan art.
Now, sexy fan art.
Oh no!
Dylan!
Oh, no. Have you seen the She-Ra that Zeno drew?
I think I might have, and knowing him, it's as nightmare-inducing as it sounds.
Yeah.
Well, it was meant to be, but he rendered it so well that some people just thought that
it was just good.
Okay, now I have to show you guys something that is just so fucking funny. It's rags related.
Right.
Okay, which one is here we are. And it's about the one thing you could do to make Brian angry.
I don't know. We already put Regina in the Squirrel Girl outfit.
Actually, he kind of liked. I think he kind of liked that.
He did. He said that. Yeah, he enjoyed
that. That explains why we're still alive.
Yeah. No, but this one, no, son. This one would make him mad. This one would make him mad for sure.
And we want that because
it's the one thing Brian hates more than anything.
Mexicans?
Well, I get that you lost your will to live after seeing that Maeve fan art, but why do you want to have the rest of us killed?
I'm up for
it. Can you guys see that?
Not on the screen.
No.
I just put it on Discord.
Oh, okay, it's in Pittsburgh.
Well, that makes great TV.
I tell you what.
Okay, do you see it, Dylan?
Oh.
I'll tell you what the sticking point is, and it's not the gender bending.
So
It's that-
a very body positive gender bent.
That's not. Trust me, that's not gonna be the thing that drives us over the edge.
Is it the mullet?
Nope, it's the Coast Guard cat tattoo.
Wait, custard cat tattoo? I can't.
No, Coast Guard.
Oh. I heard
Custard
custard cat, and I was like, "What the fuck's a custard cat?"
No, it's the Coast Guard tattoo. Brian hates the Coast Guard with every fiber of his being.
Okay.
They are kind of comparatively pussies.
Well, here's the thing. The reason why, like, a lot of military people will rag on the Coast Guard is because here's the thing. The Coast Guard, they're not technically part of the military, which falls under the Department of Defense. They're part of the Department of Homeland Security.
Okay.
Let me put it this way. If they act like they're military, they're posers. That's the attitude like a lot of people who are in the military have towards the Coast Guard.
I see.
Yeah.
I don't think the Coast Guard did act like they were military.
Does the UK have a Coast Guard or something like it?
I think they just let people drown.
So all you got is the Royal Army, Navy, Air Force, and actually, are they still called the Royal?
I have no idea.
Probably. I don't know.
Probably, yeah.
And I guess they're mostly fighting somewhere abroad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is actually kind of interesting to me that the UK's military would still be called the Royal Military when the Royals don't even really have any power anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they got the power of naming stuff, apparently.
Yeah.
All right. So
Where were we before we got seriously derailed? We were asking Ginger what she was doing, and then there was the thing Xeno. There was the awful fan art of Maeve Xeno did. Although, can we really say that was awful because it was done on purpose? Because when I think bad fan art, I'm thinking someone who's trying but just doesn't have the talent to make it good.
The question is it still fan art?
I mean, it's grotesque, it's hideous, but that was made by someone with talent.
But what's he a fan?
Yeah, what does that fall? Does that fall under bad? Because, like I said, that took talent to make.
Was it? It was well made, but was it well received?
Fair point. Fair point. Well, it was supposed to be repulsive, so.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like he had the exact effect he was going for.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You did, in fact, buff.
I guess mission accomplished. It did what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be hideous.
Yeah. It's supposed to be hideous and kind of confuse people. So.
I almost want to try to. It's like, oh my god! It's like Maeve got infected by Nurgle or something.
I still say that's not Maeve. That's some kind of a messed up shadow clone.
or something. I don't know. Like it looks like a hideous Nurgle creation. Like,
yeah, it's Nurgle's fan art of Maeve. You should be honored.
It's Cronenberg Maeve.
Well, you know what? I'm not. I almost think it's better it was Nurgle than compared to, say, Slanesh.
Oh, don't challenge him. Don't challenge him.
All right.
Zeno, if you make that, I will. Zeno, if you do that, I will. I swear to God, I will fly over to Newcastle and I will hunt you down.
I'll keep it to
I'll
myself.
help. And I'll be there.
When he says he'll keep it to himself, it's going on fur affinity or some shit like that.
It's not even a furry! Gavin is a furry!
I'll make her a furry.
She has a...
Don't give him fuel.
I don't...
Yeah, you're starting to figure out how he works.
Yes, I am.
So she likes cats.
Now you give him ideas.
Yeah, that's why I said that.
She does like Nerd Wonder.
Oh my God! You take it. Oh.
Just the chin strokes. Just.
And she also does like ponies.
That's true.
You're making it worse.
You're making it worse. So we cannot see we can't see your man's pictures, but do you want to do a quick sweep and show like the final products of the other pictures, since we couldn't show off all of them because of the
Yeah, we went on for like 4 hours last Tuesday.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I've seen a couple of them. Let me see if I can. Let me grab the tweet. I'll send it to you, Dylan.
Yeah.
I type in Ginger in Google in the Twitter search, and guess what the first two results are for me?
Ginger ale. Oh, shit! That's right. I just remembered something. I'll be right back.
Well, the first result is our Ginger. The second is Liz Finnegan.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I have to wonder what Dylan is doing. What is he up to?
I'm guessing something to do with ginger ale.
I guess. Yeah, I think. But yeah, I think I actually would kind of dig having a book like Immortal in the Mythoverse, something that's a bit more comedic. At least, yeah, or more heavily comedic.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I mean, like Changeling has comedy, but it's like supposed to be kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of makes sense for a book aimed at a young adult audience. It's like you kind of need to balance humor with drama.
I do think that Sin and Maeve would be friends.
Yeah.
Probably. Like, what's Sin's personality like?
Well, she's kind of like a cute goth girl, and when I say cute, I don't mean Zeno's version of She-Ra.
No. Not like an intentional.
It's more like your version of cute, Ginger.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
because my other guess was Brian's version of cute.
No, she's she's a young girl working a job she doesn't necessarily like, living in a horrible apartment, and life kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And it kind of always has. And then suddenly there's an explosion of a source happening outside the bar where she works, and she goes outside, and the road is all mangled up. There's a giant crater in it. There's 3 mangled up dead bodies and a naked man. And she came out holding a case that he left in the bar before, which, as it turns out, is full of money, and he just drops it on the ground, and she's like, what the hell?
Kind of fair to say that Sin is more or less the audience proxy in this story.
Yeah. She's
the normal one.
Explained to her so that the audience can understand them.
She has to be the quote unquote normal one of the group.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I say normal, it's I guess kind of vulnerable compared to the rest of them.
Yeah.
And
well, she's like I said, she's the audience proxy. She's the one that
long ago.
What were you doing, Dylan?
Christmas. So I have sparkling red grape cider, and I'm happy.
What's that got to do with ginger?
Nothing. I just remembered that I was just thirsty and I had this.
Oh. Also,
literally nothing.
Also, I dropped that tweet. I found the tweet and dropped it in Discord. So you can have a look.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. If this video gets 10 million likes, I'll do a 3-hour singing stream.
Yeah, I kind of feel like at some point in this.
Just wait. In 6 years, it'll have 10 million. I'll have to do that.
Share the video with everyone you can think of right now.
I was gonna say, like, I almost feel like at some point in this month, like when we probably I need somebody to sing "Fairy Tale of New York" with me. It has to be a.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna look that up because that sounds familiar, but I want.
It's a Pogue song. It's a Christmas song.
It is a Christmas song, yeah. Okay, so
it's by the Pogues.
Isn't that pure as New York?
New York.
Snow?
There we go.
No, it's the one where the boys in the NYPD choir were singing Galway Bay, and the bells were ringing out. It's Christmas Day.
All right.
There we go. They're not starting to sing. You may as well just go for it.
No, I don't sing. I mumble to myself.
All right.
You're
I'm
better
listening
than
to
me
it right
at it.
now. So
Which doesn't say much.
Yeah, it is I love this. I love that song. It is like I've never come across a Christmas song that could make me laugh and cry at the same time. The story of that song, though, is more or less about a relationship that fell apart.
So, guys, how much do you like music?
You're gonna play it, aren't you?
No.
I just
sanctified. I love Road to El Dorado. I watched it last night, and then I found a metal cover of "It's Tough to Be a God," and I've been humming it all day.
This metal covers of everything these days. Zayden here listens to metal covers of any old shit.
No,
just whenever. 4 hours.
Occasionally, they're good.
Well, the reason it's good is it's not like death metal or scream metal. It's a faithful recreation of the song because they basically redid the song with new instruments. Wait
a minute, Tough to Be a God. Is that the song from Road to El Dorado?
That's what I just said. I watched Road to El Dorado yesterday, and I've been humming "It's Tough to Be a God" and other songs from the soundtrack all morning, or all day rather.
Yeah, that sounds like covers that Xeno listens to. They're good. They're very good. They can make any old stupid, annoying shit sound good. And that's why I hate them, because they reduce metal to an Instagram filter.
Well, I mean, like, once the shtick wears off, it's like... I mean, like, once you kind of get past the shtick, it's like, it kind of becomes old hat.
Yeah, they still sound really good. But
yeah, I mean, like I remember this one channel. I remember this one channel that I watched called Frog Leap Studios, and I found.
Oh yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I found their metal cover of "Smells Like Teen Spirit."
Oh, God.
Ooh, I love that song. I'm gonna look up that cover.
I love that song, and there's no reason for a fucking cover.
There's a pop punk remix that's actually very interesting.
Who did it?
Actually, I say it's I said pop punk remix. In other words, they took the same song and just changed the chord key.
Great. And then...
Well, Frog Leap are really good at what they do. The guy seems really nice, but I still don't support them taking shitty fucking pop songs that annoy the shit out of me and turning them into something you could listen to.
Why not?
Because those things never should have existed, and now they're giving them more of a reason to exist. And I don't support that at all. And like Richard Cheese, who takes horrible, stupid fucking songs and sings them as lounge music and exposes just how ridiculous they are. Frog Leap Studios does the exact opposite. Just any old shit, doesn't matter how stupid the lyrics are, it will sound good. And you won't think about how stupid the fucking song is.
I'm gonna...
Because I'm all about
close to my
lyrics.
Kind of not like
lyrics. That's why I listen to the Electric Six.
So not like...
I saw her dancing in the Latin Quarter. Abbreviations make everything shorter.
Okay, so what about artists like, say, Weird Al, that take popular songs and make parodies out of them?
It's funny, but sometimes a pop song is just so... There's like nothing interesting about it that even his parody doesn't sound that interesting either. It's like also with Richard Cheese, sometimes he takes a pop song and it doesn't become funnier because ridiculous rap works really well when you change the format, because then all the ridiculous bits and the lyrics really shine. But some songs, they're just empty. And they just keep sounding empty. But with those metal covers, they sound good and you don't think about how shallow the whole thing is. And that annoys me. Because I like getting worked up over stupid things.
Yeah, my thing with parodies is sometimes they work, but a lot of the time, because essentially a parody is a joke, and listening to the same joke for like 3 minutes, it kills it a bit.
Yeah, like stuff like the Amish Paradise. That worked really well with the clip especially. But yeah.
And then you got like, oh man, I actually lost my shit when I watched Smells Like Nirvana, and then he goes into the guitar solo and falls out fucking kazoos.
I also like a surgeon. That was fun, like with the clip and everything. Got to wait for you to sing.
Dylan, if your mic is unplugged, then plug it back in. Yeah. Then of course you got Eat It, which is just about eating food.
Yeah.
It won't pick my voice up. Have you checked to see that it's... Have you checked to see that it's configured?
I guess his computer doesn't want him to sing. Has to go against the laws of robotics, I guess. Sounds like a really mean joke, and I didn't intend for it to be mean, but such an opportunity, damn it, I couldn't miss it.
Sadness. Yes, I don't... Unfortunately, the only way... I can't see Dylan fixing this any other way other than possibly killing the stream. I've only been going about 107 minutes. Also, he says Ginger is mean.
Well, the thing is that he usually cracks really lame jokes that are really stupid, and Zeno is the one who has to endure them all the time. So when I get an opportunity for a good one, I'm sorry. I can't help it.
We'll be right back. He says, "Wait, are you gonna kill this? Are you about to kill the stream, Dylan?"
Is it gonna restart?
Well, no. If Dylan kills, we're broadcasting on Dylan's channel, so he'll end up killing it.
So 2 live streams today. Woo! Productivity.
Yes, tell people what to click. Okay, yeah, fine. We'll be right back.
Okay. Commercial